Hey everybody, Evan McDaniel here, Fit Studios. We're going to talk about a little bit of basic nutrition stuff for you today. Three main things: what, when, and how much you need to be eating to make sure that we're facilitating a fat loss, not necessarily just losing weight. If you really want to learn a lot about fat loss, check out the last video I just posted on our YouTube channel or Facebook, and that'll go into about 9 minutes of the actual fat loss. So, some pretty important topics about nutrition is what you need to be eating, okay? Some pretty important things here are carbs and protein. Too often people don't know exactly what they should be eating. Now, the best possible scenario here is that we're eating both a carbohydrate and a protein every single meal, okay? There's four main carbohydrates. They're complex carbohydrates. The more complex the carbohydrate, the longer it takes to break down in our body. The more muscle we build, the more fat we burn, the longer you can sustain the weight loss that you've created. So, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, let's see, brown rice, and quinoa. Okay? These are the big four. If it's not from this list, it's more than likely some type of a simple carbohydrate. Simple carbohydrates are going to lead to a very irregular blood sugar pattern, and that's what's going to lead to a lot more cravings, overeating, and general weight gain. So make sure that we're facilitating fat loss from eating one of these. If we do not have one of these, make sure it's the staple of your diet. Too many people kick the carbohydrates out and trying to lose weight. You're not going to lose the right type of weight if we're not eating the right type of carbohydrate. So, the foundation of a fat loss program starts over here with the carbohydrate. Protein: chicken, turkey, fish, although a lot of people don't really like fish, but it's still really, really lean. So, chicken, turkey, fish, egg whites. I say egg whites, you can have some yolks in there. They do make the eggs taste a lot better, but for the most part, the white is where the protein is. This is the most pure source of protein, so it has the most amino acids that our body doesn't actually make itself. So this is going to be probably the easiest to create, the biggest bang for your buck right here. Really easy to cook, really easy to store. You can boil them, you can take them pretty much everywhere you need to eat on the road. So, whey protein. We need to make sure that we're eating both before and after the workout. I'll touch on that in just a little bit on when we're going to be, when I talk about when we're going to be eating. So, whey protein, and then like a low-fat dairy product, like cottage cheese, or even like a low-fat plain Greek yogurt, which those are pretty good. But as you can see, far more substantial proteins up here. These are going to be kind of to help fill in the gaps. These are not my favorite. These four and these four definitely should make up the vast majority of your diet. So, we talk about what. Now we need to talk about when we need to be eating. Too often people start with what they should be eating, and I really want you to start with when you should be eating. Every 3 hours. Okay? On top of that, if it falls without this, you need to be eating within about 30 to 45 minutes, pre and both post-workout, okay? This is gonna allow your body to start to facilitate a fat burn from what we eat, because all of these foods are really, really high in nutrients and energy. So there's gonna be a thermogenic effect of food from all of these, especially these good carbohydrates. It's gonna help our body burn fat 24 hours a day. If we're not eating every 3 hours, what's happening is our body is turning into a fat storage machine. So we really have to stick to this. Now, it's probably the biggest change for people. It's the most difficult thing to do if we're not used to doing this, because you have to prep your food beforehand. Very few restaurants, if any that I actually know of, offer these types of options, okay? Not too many places serve these in the formats that we want, like dressings and stuff, just pack them. A lot of the restaurants don't really prepare things the way they should, so it's going to take a lot of preparation work. But in order to do this, we're talking about maximizing results. I want you to look at everything I'm telling you today and kind of put it in perspective for yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the further you have to go, you know, say you want to lose 100 pounds or 30 pounds, that's a long road. You're going to have to be a little more strict and kind of have the long term in play a little bit better than if you only have, say, 5 or 10 pounds to lose. So kind of take a look at how serious you want to get about it. Take a look at how you can fit this into your life, okay? So by far, probably the most important thing is focusing on when we're eating. The next step is kind of incorporating some of these things, and then we'll talk about how much you need to be eating, which kind of should be the last component. Typically, people just talk about calorie reduction as opposed to changing actually what we're putting into our body. If we just focus on calorie restriction, what's going to happen is it's going to be a short-term result. You might lose 10 or 20 pounds, but if you haven't taught yourself how to prepare food, if you haven't taught yourself how to eat every 3 hours and turned your body into a fat burning machine, what's going to happen is it's going to be very hard to maintain these changes. So I really want you to focus on when we're eating, and then what we're eating, incorporating these foods into our diet. And then the last step here is how much. I just want to point out that I have terrible handwriting, so we're just going to kind of let that go. So for females, in general, I want you guys eating about 20 grams, okay, of both carbs and protein every meal, okay? 20 grams here. Quarter to a third cup of oatmeal, about 4 ounces of, say, turkey or egg whites or something, kind of depending on what you pick. So about 20 grams of carbs, about 20 grams of protein. That's going to give you a lot of energy to help regulate your blood sugar. It's going to give you a lot of fuel to help get your good workouts in. It's going to allow you to build muscle. It's muscle that burns body fat. There's no other way to do it. Strictly by changing when we eat and what we eat is going to give you a huge jump on facilitating a long-term change. I don't really care if you lose 20 pounds in a month. I want you to think about not only how you're going to lose the weight, but then how we're going to keep that off. If you're not changing things long-term, that's going to be really, really hard. So stick with this. Males, we're going to shoot anywhere from 25 to 30 grams, you know, both of a carb and a protein every 3 hours through the day. Had a little bit of technical difficulty. We'll try to catch up kind of where this last clip took off here. I was transitioning in from how much males need to be eating, about 25 to 30 grams of each of these, which is a little bit more than females, and transitioning it to talking about meal timing and incorporating in our pre and post workout, which is vital to making sure that we have enough energy to get through a workout, and then making sure that we have enough energy to refuel after the workout to facilitate muscle building and fat burning. So let's say you have breakfast at 6 a.m., you know, you mid-morning snack 9, then again at noon, again at 3, and let's say you work out at 4:30 in the afternoon. That's about 90 minutes after a substantial amount of, you know, brown rice and, say, chicken, okay? Your body should be pretty good there with about 90 minutes. If we're pushing 2 to 3 hours, let's say you missed that afternoon snack, but it's about 3:45, you need to be having some type of pre and post workout. I really recommend about a half a banana or any type of fruit in this amount. It's about 15 grams of carbohydrates, and we're talking a half of a shake, okay? We're talking a whey protein shake. Our body absorbs this really quickly to not only fuel the exercise, but then refuel after the exercise. About 45 minutes before is going to give you a little bit of fuel to make sure that we're getting through our workouts pretty good. And then the most important part is our post-workout meal, okay? You need to be having at least that half a banana, if you can substitute any type of fruit for that again, and at least that half of a shake. And this is for females. Males, you're going to have a little bit more than this, probably a third and a third here. The post-workout meal, if you skip this post-workout meal, especially after a rigorous exercise like we do here, lifting heavy kettlebells and sprinting for, you know, half hour, 45 minutes, your body can actually shut down for up to 2 weeks as far as burning fat, because what's going to happen is you're deteriorating those muscles on like a cellular level, and we're not putting anything back in that gas tank afterward to kind of refuel that, to jumpstart that metabolic process of building muscle and burning fat. So very important that we kind of tackle this in the right manner, making sure that we're focused on kind of when we eat first, and then transitioning into kind of incorporating some things from this side, and then focusing on how much. If you change when you eat first, and then you change what you eat, it is going to be really easy to measure these out and look at some package labels. If it takes you a couple weeks to kind of get this side, it'll be really easy. It's going to be very overwhelming to start with, okay, I need 20 grams of carbohydrates, okay, I'm going to pick oatmeal. Okay, I need 20 grams of egg whites, okay, how much is that? And you say, I have to do this every single meal from here on out forever and eternity. That's going to be really overwhelming. That's why a lot of people quit. So take this in a step-by-step process. Focus on when you eat first, then change what you're eating, and then change how much. It might take you a couple weeks, but a couple weeks of diligent work in changing this and meal prepping is going to save you years and years and years of that yo-yo process that generally everybody goes through. So, once again, take this kind of into your own lifestyle. Give yourself a percentage, okay? Let's say you have a long road. You might have to be 90-95% here. Okay, you might have to be really strict for a while, but if you're realistic with yourself and you kind of incorporate this into what you want to do, you can still see some pretty good change with doing, you know, about 60 to 70, 80% of this. But keep in mind that this food gives you tons of energy. If you have more energy, you're going to be a healthier person, okay? So it's not strictly about fat loss, it's not about weight loss, it's about living a healthier lifestyle. Now, on top of that, I didn't talk about veggies. A lot of people substitute a vegetable for a carbohydrate, okay? Vegetables are a supplement in my book. They're not ever going to replace these. They are different chemical makeup, okay? There's not enough fuel in any vegetables unless you eat a ton of them to compensate for one of these if you're replacing them. So if you think, oh man, I'm just gonna eat a ton of veggies and some egg whites and I'm gonna get way over here, you're gonna have like 87 Brussels sprouts and 5 egg whites, and I'm telling you, that's probably not going to be the greatest thing to eat, especially for your breath. But anyway, focus on these, supplement with some veggies. You know, the dark green ones are the best: spinach, kale, Brussels sprouts, all that stuff. It's really good. Fruit, same thing. Pre and post workout only. It is a sugar. There's far less complex carbohydrates in the fruit world, okay? They're not going to have a ton of these complex carbohydrate, you know, glucose molecules in there. There's only going to be 1 or 2, so your body's going to burn through that really quick. It's going to force that blood sugar to get erratic, and then you're going to get really hungry really quick and go get a Snickers bar out of the vending machine. Don't do that, okay? They're really good. They're really high in nutrients, but pre-post workout, okay? I think I touched on everything. Did I get everything? Jenny says I got everything. All right. Fat? Fat's going to come into our diet naturally. Yeah, almonds, any type of nuts, very minimal. You know, what I'm looking for here on a percentage basis, should talk about tracking too. We're looking for 40% carb, 40% protein, and 20% fat. Nuts are not a meal, nuts are not a protein source. The general media has led you to believe that almonds are the best snack ever. There's no complex carbohydrates, there's not a substantial amount of protein. There is protein in these. That does not make them a protein source. Much like a vegetable, there is some carbohydrates in there, but it is not a complex carbohydrate source. So, these are really good. They help facilitate a fat loss. They're very healthy for us. Nuts, oh geez, avocados, the list goes on and on there. But this is far more important. These are minimal. Like I said, only about 20% of your diet should come from any type of a good fat here. Tracking. MyFitnessPal is probably the best one out. You can get on that. Is it Jenny, Jen, what is it?
Fit Studios Jen.
Fit Studios Jenny, you can find her on there. Then we can see what you're eating if you're tracking properly. And you're getting pretty close to this, and you're eating every 3 hours, and you're choosing from these in a nice, balanced fashion, getting pretty close to this. You're going to have tons of energy. You're going to burn a lot of fat. You're going to get where you want to be a whole lot faster than trying to do it on your own, okay? This is science. This isn't crap that I just made up, people, okay? This isn't what I want you to do. This is what our body needs. This is it. Dr. Oz can make up whatever stupid diet he wants, the keto diet, I don't care what it is. None of that comes from science here, okay? Stick to this. You'll get where you want to be a whole lot faster. If you have any questions, you can email me, evan@fitstudios.net. Have a good day.